about to see is truly unique. A star in motion pictures for almost 40 years. Born in Brooklyn as Ruby Stevens, she started as a chorus girl at the age of 16. She starred in her first Broadway play before she was 20, a play called Burlesque, which brought her to the attention of Hollywood. Since then, she has starred in more than 80 motion pictures. 4 times she was nominated for the Hollywood Oscar. Twice she won the coveted Emmy as television's Best Dramatic Actress. Her co-workers, cast and crew, refer to Missy, their name for Barbara Stanwyck, as the Great Lady. But in her own salty language, she considers herself just a working dame. We'll find out more about her as we paint this portrait. For Ruby Stevens of Brooklyn is known all over the world as Barbara Stanwyck.
There I am, driving in early in the morning, on my way to work. And now I'm on my way, I've been made up, my hair is done, I'm dressed, ready to go to work. I'm on my way to the set. And in place of a horse in front of the dressing room, I usually ride my bicycle around the lot, so here I go. Now here's one of our outdoor locations. It's on the back lot of the studio. This is where a great deal of Big Valley shoots every week, although we do go on much more extended locations, but it just so happens that in the story this is the proper and right location for this particular story we're doing. On the set. This is Lou, our coffee man, and he starts making coffee at 7 o'clock in the morning, and he doesn't stop until we stop, which is 7 or 8 o'clock at night. He makes very good coffee, too. Here's Mr. James Gregory, and I'm sure everybody knows. He's our guest star this month. And this lady is Sylvia. This is the lady who's in charge of all wardrobe for all the women who work on the Big Valley. And believe me, she has a real tough job. Now here, you see, this gentleman who is greeting me so affectionately, that is Mr. Virgil Vogel. He is our top director on Big Valley. What is next, Virgil?
Well, then you bring the horse up here, and you jump, you leap from the saddle.
Yeah.
You don't step up, you leap.
Leap. And I get extra money for that.
No. and then when you hit the ground, you come off a run.
With both legs.
Both legs. With the rifle in your left hand.
Yeah.
And the barrel in your right.
Okay. Well, you sure can think them up. I guess Mr. Vogel knows as much about making westerns as the old master John Ford.
Miss Stanwyck.
Yeah.
The public associates the life of a movie actress with all glamour and opening nights and Oscars and so forth. But I'd like to hear from you the hard work that a leading lady has to put in on a weekly schedule. Now, you're just finishing up 26 episodes of Big Valley over some 7 months. What is your schedule during the average working week?
Well, if we're shooting inside the studio, I get up at 4:30 in the morning, and we start shooting at 8 in the studio, and I get home maybe 7:30, 8 o'clock at night. If we're on location, which we are 2 days a week, that's 3:30 in the morning, and maybe I get home around 8:30.
And then do you have to study that night?
No, I do all my studying Saturday and Sunday. So I have to learn the whole script.
Right. So it's really a 7-day-a-week job.
Oh, I would think so, yes.
From 3:30 or 4:30 in the morning till 8 o'clock at night.
Yes.
That doesn't leave much time for social life.
Oh, no.
And...
But this is more important.
Right. Now, after making your own series, the Barbara Stanwyck Show, then you went back and you made a feature motion picture. What did you find the difference was in the two schedules?
Well, it was amazing because I had, naturally, having been in motion pictures so long, and I found that when I first went in television, the speed was a little difficult. But having been in television for so many years and not making a film, when I did go back to films, their schedule, of course, is 9 to 6. Well, you don't get up till 6 or 6:30 in the morning. You always finish around 5:30 or 6 o'clock at night. But if they get between 3 and 4 pages a day shooting on film, Well, you've done a great job. We have to go between 12 and 15 pages a day. And when I first went on the set, I was there at 8:30 in the morning, but there wasn't anybody else there. I was all alone. And the thing that I found was the slowness. It was appalling after being away for 4 or 5 years. It almost drove me crazy. I prefer the speed of television.
You got old between the master shot and
Oh, yes, you do.
To translate for the audience, 3 or 4 pages would be about 3 or 4 minutes of usable film.
Usable film, yes.
Right. And the television is 12
and 15.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Such thing as a star of this or the star of that. It takes about 60 to 70 people. And this just shows you a few of them who work constantly and very hard to make your segment and your series a success.
Vacation, or would you rather be
Not really. I would rather be working.
Then this is really your second home, with your family, the cast, and the crew.
That's my son.
Peter Rick?
That's my son. One of them.
One of your sons, and
Flaky, she calls him.
I call him Flaky.
And Richard Long is the other one. Oh, you're glad to see you.
That's my other one. He's not Flaky.
Flaky?
Yeah, I said, this is my Flaky. My
So,
He's
so
the
fun
attorney.
of the segment.
He gets us all out of those messes. And gets himself in some.
Never won a case.
You don't know.
Always backing your own candidate.
He buys it by the fifth.
Ooh, those are the jokes, huh? You'll see it later.
Well, what kind of picture would you prefer to be making?
Western.
Why is it you prefer Western?
Oh, I think they're exciting. The car process, history.
It's one of the few times in our history that the American male is truly an individual.
Truly an American
Well,
man.
Individual.
Right. You can carry that thought a step further, I think. The cowboy on the horse, alone, kind of represents man's individual problem in life. Whereas pictorially representative. Man alone against the elements, against life, against himself. We're talking of the men of the West. Where do the women fit in?
Well, the women think they made a home in a little stinking covered wagon. But I mean, they made a home.
And the
They had children.
Right.
And they raised
They
those
couldn't call up
children.
the family
No.
doctor to say,
And they couldn't push a button
Right.
and open a can of what have you. They had to make, from scratch, make do, make soap, make clothes, make everything. Plus fighting alongside of their men. I think it's a
Close-up now.
Come on,
Take a close-up.
No, it's the most fascinating part of our history, and it's sad that they do not teach that part in school to children, because I know even with my nieces and nephews, they just don't know it.
Well, that's where the Western films and the Western television shows have created, that filled that gap.
Yes,
Because
in a way.
similarly, we teach
Yes.
them.
However, they make the Indian a heavy, and the Indian not a heavy.
No.
In their country.
Gradually becoming
And that
corrected.
is being corrected. Very much so.
Because more and more we realize.
How great the Indian was.
Right.
We took his country.
That's right. Do you have anything else to say?
I think Peter would demand that.
Right.
I think Peter would demand that.
Right. Just to explain, for all close-ups of another actor, the contributing actors are usually just off the camera, helping to give the performance to the actor who's being photographed.
voice this anyway? It sounds like one of yours.
Now, hold on. It wasn't a bad
What makes
idea.
you think Daggett's going to be so stupid as to leave those pictures in his office? If he has got them, they're going to be in a safer place than that. Go ahead, Nick. Tell us.
Hey, what is it?
Keith and I ransacked Daggett's office.
Ransacked it. Did you get the pictures? All they got was caught.
Caught?
Nick, you've really done it this time. Not only have you broken the law, but you've handed Daggett a nice present all wrapped up in blue ribbon.
Wait a minute.
If he isn't involved in the pictures, he knows now that we've got something to hide, and if he is, he knows we're scared.
We sure messed up things.
That's putting it mildly. With your kind of help, you've already got him elected.
Garrett, I admit it. We made
Nick, you are the most stubborn, mule-headed...
Wait a minute. That'll be enough of that.
All right, boys, all right.
Got it. Right now. All right.
316.
We're on the set with one of Barbara Stanwyck's co-stars, Peter Breck. Peter, I'd like to ask you your evaluation of Barbara Stanwyck as an actress, as a trooper, as a professional, and your opinion of her as a human being.
Well, let's start at the beginning. Value. I think one thing that our business always values is a professional. Barbara is just that. There's no conflict at all on the set. Contrary to a lot of fan magazines and things, we happen to get along very well. And I think that's because the lovely lady and talented woman who plays our mother is a professional. We don't know of temperament here, and when I say temperament, we never find that from Miss Stanwyck. She is a great rapport with all of us, as we do with her, because she is a pro. And also that rapport goes on to the crew. I'm sure that the members of the crew are listening right now, they would applaud that statement because she is professional and very, very good to her crew. And that makes for good series and longevity.
But what about your opinion of her as a human being?
Barbara's a ball. She's a lot of fun. A great jokester. She loves a good joke. I try to tell them to her. She's a good audience, and which I also think makes a good performer. Not only the person that can perform, but can also be a good audience. So this is, again, in her favor.
And as an actress?
I don't think anyone can ever put Barbara Stanwyck down. Barbara has always done very fine work. I don't use the word great because it's an overused word. Very fine actress, and always has been, and I think she's going to go on for many, many more years being the same.
I'd like to pursue this Western theme for just a minute. How did a girl from Brooklyn become so involved in Western?
You know, when I was a kid, I was so crazy about Western. And when I was a kid going to movies, this was the Pearl White era, and all she was my idol. I was 4 when I became an actor, because I knew I was going to be an actor. Somebody told me, I just knew, that I was going to do that.
You were a chorus girl for a while.
Well, I was a chorus girl. I could always dance.
How long since you've done a time step?
I don't know. I hate to think how long it is.
In Western films, don't you always do your own stunts?
I prefer to see better for the director.
But what happens if you get injured and you hold up production?
Oh, I haven't yet.
I have to tell her,
Haven't
really.
yet.
She cops out and says it's better for the director that she does it and all that stuff. That isn't true. She knows
No,
she can't. I'll tell you something. She can't resist doing it. She, I don't know why, but she just has to do her own stunts.
result, Dick Long, do you do your own stuff?
Never. Never. Double to me is whiskey in a glass. But Barbara, just the other day, I saw in the script that there was a drag out there, and I said, well, I suppose you're going to do that. And she said, oh, no, I won't. Sure enough, she did it.
A drag. A drag. Or a horse drag.
Thing dragging along behind the foot. Where's that?
That's then my throws me around my waist, pulls me down to drag me. You know. The foot stirrup I did about 10 years ago for Sandy Fuller, the director, where my foot got caught in the stirrup on the horse drag. But this is a waist drag, complete.
Well, then the camera can get in really close to show this Barbara Stanwyck.
Yeah.
Right.
And then notice on my drags that they're very long shots. Very long shots.
But you prefer a Western to many of the other kinds?
I'll take any good part that's offered, anything, drawing room or anything, but I love to do Westerns most of all. Now here's a collection of us. In the foreground, of course, is Virgil Vogel again, and on his right is Joe Mazuka. He is the script supervisor. Behind him is Eddie Teets. That is Virgil Vogel's assistant. This is what we call a camera car. When we do fast rides in our business, whether they're on horseback or motorcycle or stagecoach, the camera is put on one of these super-speeded cars so that you would follow the action of the performer. You notice I'm riding the camera car because it's very exciting. As many years as I've been in pictures, I still get a big kick out of watching all these stunts being done. I still enjoy it. Now, right here, you see, the entire crew is now preparing the ground in this particular area for a stunt that the stuntman will do in a few seconds. So let's watch it. Now, you see how that man fell. You saw it in regular action before. Now, they slowed it down so that you can see it. You see how the man fell? He is a stuntman, and by that, he's marvelous in his work.
But again, I'd like to get back to your doing your own stunts. You say you've never been hurt doing any?
I have been hurt. That would be wrong. Even famous, marvelous stunt people do get hurt, as you very well know. You've directed them.
Right.
And you know, there's wonderful stunt people can get hurt. I have been hurt, but by the grace of God, not seriously.
But you can understand the apprehension of the head of the studio saying, my gosh, she's going to be killed by a horse.
I haven't seen too much apprehension.
Well, I was talking to Mr. Charnay the other day about it, and he said, well, we've got this marvelous footage. I was scared to death when she did it. Is there any other development you'd like to pursue in your career? Let's say, have you ever thought of, with your knowledge of films, would you like to direct?
No.
Why?
I have enough trouble doing what I'm doing, being told what to do when I'm wrong. I don't put myself in the capacity that I could tell somebody where they're wrong.
Well, I don't mean to act and direct simultaneously.
No, but even to direct. I could help somebody, as I've helped people, but I would never want... I don't feel that I know that much that I could take 2 or 3 people and say, do this and do that and do that. I'll wait for you to tell me what to do.
But I understand that everybody holds you up on a pedestal.
Oh, that's nice.
Well, as an example, the late Cecil B. DeMille wrote in his autobiography, I'm sometimes asked who is my favorite actress among those I have directed. I would have to say that I have never worked with an actress who is more cooperative, less temperamental, and a better workman, to use my term of highest compliment, than Barbara Stanwyck. Barbara's name is the first that comes to mind as one on whom a director can always count to do her work with all her heart.
I'm rather proud of that, I must say.
I certainly think you should be.
Yes.
Who would you classify as the finest directors that you've worked with?
Naturally, Frank Capra, Billy Wilder.
You did Double Indemnity with him.
And Bill Wellman.
Mm-hmm.
Wild
Bill
Wellman.
Wellman.
Yes, I adore that man. I did several with him and for him. There are so many that I enjoyed. George Stevens.
What film did you do with
Andy
George?
Oakley, the original.
Oh, yes. Before Annie Gets You Gone.
Before Annie Gets
Yes.
Before Ethel Merman did it.
Right.
Yeah, the original.
Now, I don't want to put you on the spot, but who are your favorite leading men?
Oh, that's very difficult because I enjoy working.
You worked with so many.
Very, very many. Hank Fonda. You could, Joan McRae. I mean, I could go right down the line.
Every
Just
star
about.
over the last
Yeah.
2 decades. Now, while they're preparing for the next setup, I'd like to continue our conversation about young actors and their training. Where did you get your training?
Experience, life. I didn't go to school, if that's what you mean.
No,
dramatic school.
Right.
No, I have nothing against them. Some of them are very good, but I think the best thing is to get out and do it, try to do it anyhow. I've known a couple that went to school, and it's sort of like a crutch. They just sort of hang on to that school.
Or they like to go from one school to another.
Yes.
They're afraid of getting their feet wet.
I think so, yes. And I find fault that with some schools, not all, they don't release them in time to find out whether or not they can or can do what they're supposed to do.
And eventually you've got to work with pros and get up there and put yourself on the line.
Bad. You make mistakes. It's the way you learn.
Now, for a chorus girl, you went on to your first part, and that, I understand, was a flop in Pittsburgh. Then it was rewritten, and you were a hit in Philadelphia.
Well, a part within it was rewritten from one female character to the little dance hall girl. I was lucky. The little dance hall character, which I was. And so it was just a lucky break, really.
And in that experience, too, you got your name.
Yes.
Do you want to tell that story?
Oh, sure. My original name, birth name, was Ruby Stevens, and that was the name I was a chorus girl. But when I started in dramatic acting, Willard Mack, who wrote and directed the play called And Those, decided that Ruby Stevens wasn't a very good name for a dramatic actress. So we were all sitting in backstage in the green room of the Glasgow Theater in New York City. And in those days, I don't know whether they still have it because I haven't been there for years, they had all sorts of very old programs.
The Glasgow?
Yes.
It's still there.
It's still there?
Still the thing.
Well, then maybe that program is still there. But it was a very old English program. And it read, James Stanwyck appearing in Barbara Frietchie. So he didn't want to name me Jane because of Jane Cowell. He didn't want to know. So he said, here's your name, Barbara Stanwyck. He took the Barbara out of Barbara Frietchie and the Stanwyck out of Jane Stanwyck, who incidentally was a British actress. And that program in those days, and this was around 1927, around that program was about 30 years old. That was hanging in the Glasgow Theater.
Well, then, did you make your first appearance on Broadway as Barbara Stanwyck?
Yes, in the dramatic part, yes.
And then after that came a famous play called Burlesque.
Yes.
While you were doing the play Burlesque, did that bring you to Hollywood?
Well, I had finished playing the 2 years with it.
Right.
And then I came originally for Joe Skank, who then owned United Artists. And I was brought out here. See, that was about 31, 32, around that time. I did a perfectly dreadful picture called The Locked Door. That was the beginning of talkies, of course.
Yes.
And it was terrible. Awful.
Speaking of necks, how about a bit of squab?
Thanks, but it's getting late and I have a headache.
Oh, I have the cure. We'll talk about that after supper.
Will you please open that door?
Oh, no.
Waiter,
Now, that won't do you any good. They're used to that sort of thing out here.
open this door.
Not yet.
Oh, we're dropping the fences.
And let's drop the innocence, too. Why not be sensible? I'm not a bad sort.
If you don't open that door, I'll tell your father.
Tell Father what? That late at night you went to a drinking boat but didn't know what you were doing? Tell Papa and he'll fire you. He can't fire me.
You think I could stand another day in that office with you?
Be nice, and you won't have to.
What was your first big picture?
Ladies of Leisure, which was about 4 years, 2 years later, Frank Capra.
Frank Capra.
at
You did
Columbia.
a number of pictures with Frank Capra.
Yes,
5 of them.
5 of them.
I don't think anybody else holds that kind of a record, did they?
Maybe Gene Arthur. Maybe, I don't know.
I understand that Capra wanted you to test for him, and you said, I've been
Well,
there.
what I said, I don't think I should say it. But words to the effect that I will never take another test again as long as
By that time, you've
I
been
had
through...
tested a couple of times for various and sundry parts out here. I always lost. And I was up to here with testing.
Right.
And today, I think testing is an unfair thing.
Well, the actor's on such a spot because everything hangs on those few minutes that he's in front of the camera.
Yeah.
And you're usually doing it
I really don't believe
somebody who's not going to play the part opposite you.
That's the same thing.
It's rough.
Yes.
Barbara Stanwyck. Probably the most competent and professional actress I ever worked with. In about 90% of the cases of professionalism and competence, sometimes it's a cover-up for talent. But not in her case. She had all three: competence, professionalism, and talent. I only wish that half the pictures I've worked in, I was fortunate enough to work with an actress of her character and caliber. But you're lucky in this business if you work with 2 or 3 like that. They're hard to find.
Now, we've talked a lot about the past. What about the future?
The future? Oh, you mean as far as plans are concerned?
Yes.
I never make plans. I don't believe in them. But whatever comes, comes. By the grace of God.
But primarily, you want to keep on working.
Well, you know, as long as I'm breathing, I would like to work.
You enjoy it that much?
Yes, I do love it.
It's an inner compulsion.
I suppose so.
Now, another part of your life that's not very well publicized is your activities in helping others. For example, the Braille Institute. You're deeply involved in that.
Yes, well, I can't help them very much, except financially, of course. I mean, you know, you do as much as you can for them. I don't know whether you've ever visited the Institute.
No, I haven't.
Well, it's
I used to do
perfectly
readings for them.
Yes, well, even that you can do today, of course. We all can do that, the records. And,
yes.
And I try and help them whenever they have some benefit or something that they want to raise money. I try and help them as much as possible. And I go visit them.
Are you not on the Board of Governors?
Yes. Yes.
And what are some of your other involvements of charitable organizations?
I don't talk about those.
I can't mention
The
those.
American Indians.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I'm very interested in those. Particularly the children, to educate them.
The children that you have seen educated, are they doing well now?
Yes, they are.
Because there's such a potential. We've wasted a great...
Yes. They haven't been given an
manpower there.
opportunity. And you talk about minority groups. This one can't go here, and this one can't go to that school. This started many, many years ago, but the Indians were not allowed into what they term white schools.
Yes.
I did a picture one time with Barbara. We had very little to do together. But we talked on the set and that sort of thing. And I happened, which was a secret, I happened to be very pregnant at the time with my second child, Melissa. And I was in agony because I had a 22-inch belt and kept calling the doctor and saying, well, I hurt the child. I unburdened to her. She's that kind of person. You feel that you can trust her always. And she didn't tell anyone, but she thought it was awfully funny. And was terribly interested. She loves children. And I got a perfectly lovely little bouquet from her in the hospital when Melissa was born. And I thought it was awfully sweet of her because I didn't know Barbara really that well. I knew her, and yet I didn't. So then, 2 years later, I just had Raganelle. So the next thing I knew, she knew also about Katrina, my oldest girl. We talked very intimately about the children. And she ordered 3 of the most beautiful gold St. Christopher medals for each child, with their names on the back from her, in her handwriting. But the impulse behind it is something so charming and really so touching that she is, and always will be, extremely special to our whole family.
Well, now we're in the gun room of the Big Valley set while they're lighting up the living room for the next sequence so we can continue our conversation.
That's right.
We were talking about the American Indians and your involvement with them. You were adopted by a tribe of Indians, weren't you?
The Blackfeet tribe in Montana.
In Montana?
Yes.
Was that while you were on location making
Yes,
a film?
I was making a film up there, and they were part and parcel of the story.
Yes.
So they very nicely adopted me, and I was very, very proud of it.
And then didn't they put you through some special ceremonial part? You were a brave dog? Or?
Well, I'm a brave dog, and that's rather rare for a woman. That's the braves that adopt you, not only the tribe, but it is the braves, it's the men who are braves themselves.
Yes.
And you get the big eagle feather with the claw on it. Now, it sounds terrible, but it's quite beautiful.
Did you have
That is what they give you when you are a brave dog.
And what is your Indian name now?
Princess Minnie Victories III.
From Ruby Stevens to Princess Victories
Yes.
III. Now, did you have to prepare in any special way for
No,
to
they
be
were
adopted?
rather impressed with the fact that I did all my stunts, and this impressed the Indians, the men.
Well, no, that is only one of so many awards that you've won. You had, for example, 4 Academy nominations.
Nominations, I didn't win anything.
No, but to me, a nomination is just as important
Well,
as
it
an
is
award.
very
After
nice.
that's a horse race.
Yeah.
Let's see, those films, there was Stella Dallas.
Yeah.
Is every time
What do you mean? Because there was a couple of drinks? Well, what's wrong with that? Take her away from me. Give it to me. Give it to me, I say.
He wants to do this.
Give it to me. Look how you're hurting her. You're here with Mommy, and nobody in the whole world is ever going to take you away.
There was Devil Indemnity.
Yes.
And
Ball of Fire.
Ball of Fire. What are you going to do?
Come here. I'm going to show you what Yum Yum is. Here's Yum. Here's the other Yum. And here's Yum Yum.
Excuse me. And the solo job on the telephone.
Sorry, wrong number.
Sorry, wrong number, in which you built up your terror increasingly through the film. Was that very difficult to do from day to
It was
day?
difficult from day to day, but I was very, very lucky. Anatole Litvak was the director, and a very fine director, and a marvelous person to work for. And I had 12 days of the terror in bed. And he very kindly, which, as you know, being a director yourself, makes it difficult for a director to do, he very kindly and graciously asked me, did I want to do those 12 days all at once, or spread them in between continuity? And when I thought it over, I thought, it would be better if I could do the 12 days at once so that I myself might have continuity.
Right.
And he very graciously did. He very graciously fixed his schedule as such, and I did 12 days consistently.
But now, in addition to those 4 nominations, you won a couple of Emmys
Yes.
for this series, The Big Valley. Of all the awards you had, what was the one that gave you the greatest pride?
I think I am very proud of all of them, don't misunderstand me, but I think the one was the Screen Actors Guild, the Humanitarian Award, because I really never expected that.
I wasn't there. I read about it, and I was thrilled about it.
I thought I was giving it to Ronnie Reagan.
I know.
Yes.
You thought it was going to be for the then governor-elect.
Yes, I thought I was giving it to Ronnie Reagan. That was before he was governor.
Yes.
So 30 days ago. I thought they were honoring him, so I went up there thinking that this is what I was going to do. And I found out I was being given it. I was very proud of that.
And what exactly does that award say?
That's just exactly what it entails, a humanitarian award for what you do for other people.
And that was to cover a number of years in the industry, not just
Oh, many.
one
Oh,
thing
no,
that you
no,
did.
that must cover a good 15, 20 years.
Well, we've talked about Ruby Stevens and how you got the name of Barbara Stanwyck and how you got your Indian name. There's one other name that we see on the back of your chair and on your bicycle around the lot here, Missy.
Yes.
That seems to be a very affectionate term for the cast and the crew
Yes.
to call you.
Yes.
How did that name derive?
Well, I have a Negro maid. She's been with me 30 years, and she's not a maid, she's a friend.
Right.
And years ago when she first came to work for me in 1938 or 9, she started calling me Missy. And the crews gradually picked it up, and so did my family.
When I first started working for Miss Stanwyck, I never seemed to be able to get her full name out when I wanted to ask her something, like Miss Stanwyck this or Miss Stanwyck that, and she cut me off. So it finally wound up that I could just get Missy out, and after a few weeks of that, she got so she liked the name and just sort of adopted it. And she's had dogs and boats and everything else named after her with the name Missy.
You enjoy the name?
Very much so.
It's less formal than Miss Stanwyck.
Yes.
And not as informal as Barbara.
Yeah, I like it very much because she gave it to me, and I love her.
I have to explain something to the audience. When they hear an automobile horn like that, the camera is ready.
That's the camera honking. It's calling the cattle to work.
So I must excuse the private
Yes,
exhibit
you must.
here. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you
We'll be
very
back to talk.
All right.
Barbara Stanwyck, in my book, has to be the top gal on the totem pole. Now, this goes for everything, but let's face it, theatrically, she has no equal, believe me. Now, this might sound exaggerated, but it isn't at all. And Barbara has so many facets to her character. Well, first of all, when speaking of acting, every actor who has ever had the privilege of playing with her, as I have had, I did a picture with her some years ago called Gambling Lady, but everyone has the same analysis, the same observation, and the same affection for this wonderful girl. And the great barometer is the crew. And every crew that has ever had the great privilege of working with Missy, as they call her, with Barb, as I call her, I think that they would go on, well, on one premise. May we never run out of incense to burn at her shrine. That's what I think. Oh, don't make it look peaceful. Be as much to your left as you can, so Jim doesn't have to do this.
Yeah.
Roll it, please, Don.
103, take Tuesday.
All right. Now, wait a minute, well, none of that.
All right, boys. All right. Now, you listen to me. We're a family. Mistakes or not, we stand together. Now, I suggest we all go to bed and get a good rest. We'll discuss it in the morning when we come.
You're right. I'm sorry, Nick. I guess I got a little carried away.
I guess we both did.
Let's turn in.
Good night, Mother. Gloria, last thing in the world I want to do is cause any bitterness between your son. I'm sorry.
Yes, sir.
Richard Long is one of the co-stars of Barbara Stanwyck on the television series The Big Valley, and I think we should have his comments on what it is to work with her.
Well, you know, Ralph, as we travel around the country from town to town, we get asked that question a great deal. And the fact that it's asked so often kind of speaks for itself, in a way. Because when you have a star of Barbara's proportion that has stayed a major star for as long as she has and for as deservedly as she has, you're dealing with quite a human being. Because as you well know, that's not easy to do. It's a treat to work with her, and I say that most sincerely. But there's more to it than that. She not only has great strength and stamina, and as I said, is vitally interested in what she's doing, she's vitally interested in other people, which is very important. In your long experience in this business, you've seen people hog the camera, hog the moment to the detriment of a scene or the detriment of a story. They'll just reduce it to their personality rather than play it honestly as it should be done. And Barbara has never been guilty of this in our 3-year association. She believes in the scene and she believes in the quality of other people's performances and strives to help those come about.
It is an adjustment for all concerned when you come from pictures.
Yep. Now, how does it affect you? You're used to working in films where maybe you got 3 pages a day. You're getting how many pages a day?
Oh, well, now a script is what? 70, 75 pages. It doesn't make any difference to me what it is, because I've always had to learn the entire script before I start it. That goes for pictures or television, and that's the stage training. Even in motion pictures, if I were connected with something that said, well, Look at 10 pages now and maybe 20 pages next week. Forget it. Forget it. I have to have the whole thing.
To know where you've been and where you're going.
I cannot accept, even in television, I can't accept 15 to 20 pages the night before, and I said, no, I must learn the whole thing, exactly as I would a stage play. Now I don't care where the director goes.
You can pick up any scene and know where you
It makes
are.
no difference to me whatsoever. I don't care where he goes. I don't care because I know everything. And I'm adjustable for him.
Here we are at the end of this segment of 26 episodes of The Big Valley. You've had 26 scripts in advance to study and be able to
We got
study.
at least a week in it.
Yeah.
At least a week. That takes care of Saturdays and Sundays.
So there goes my weekend.
There goes your weekend, yeah. But I always prepare a week ahead of time. I'm a week ahead of them.
So while you're filming one episode, you're preparing the next
I learned the next one, yes. So I'm a week ahead. Well, the actors who just learn the 3 pages or 5 pages are in trouble when they come into television because they haven't made the adjustments. But in pictures, you take a picture's what, 150 pages. I had to learn that before I started to work. I had to learn that 150 pages. I couldn't learn half of the stuff to shoot for you. That would be impossible. Supposing, as a director, we were doing a film and it's 150 pages, and let's say we shot up to 40, and then all of a sudden an actor got sick, or you got in trouble with weather, or you got in trouble with the set, or anything.
So you have to be flexible.
And you said the night before, we have to go and do so-and-so at page 90.
You're ready.
Good, I'm ready. But the actor who isn't ready, I feel sorry for because he's got an awful nervous night.
What about the young kids who are becoming actors now? Do you have any advice for them? For example, Spencer Tracy used to say his advice to young actors was to know your lines and don't bump into the furniture.
Yeah.
What is your advice to a young actor?
Only discipline. Learn your discipline first. Learn your trade first. Don't learn the tricks.
That's a very good
Don't
distinction.
try and be a star before you've earned the right to be one.
Well, that's what I found in interviewing so many young actors, that they want to be a star. They're not interested in being an actor.
But you must learn your trade first. You have to earn something before you can be it. And earn it. And the way you earn that is by applying yourself. Most of them need the discipline to get there on time. That's when they boy, most of them are late. They haphazardly know it. It's no good. But it's so shame they don't last very long. They don't last very long. Yes, Peter. Yes, Peter.
Well, I'm one of the fortunate people who have had an opportunity of knowing Barbara Stanwyck over many, many years. Before coming into motion pictures, I admired her greatly when I was in the theater and always looked forward to the opportunity of one day working with her. Her kind of talent and her kind of human being is one that has such great depth, and her ability is so great that she's one of the people that will go on and be giving her greatest performance when she's 90.
We are now mapping out, or at least Virgil Vogel is mapping out the entire sequence. This is how Virgil Vogel works through the actors. He maps everything out with Will Klein, the cameraman, and after it's all mapped out, all laid up, then we rehearse and work it out from there.
With all of this, it takes a great deal of energy for you, and there's one question I'm sure the ladies in the audience will be very much interested in knowing the answer to, and that's how, with the energy that you require and the figure that you must maintain, how does Barbara Stanwyck do it? What kind of special diet do you have?
Well, I really don't have a special diet. It's very easy for me because I don't care for sweets. I don't care for sugar or things like candies or anything like that. So it's comparatively easy. However, I eat very rare meat and raw meat. That is energy building.
And as I understand it, you eat that 3 times a day.
3 times a day. Yes.
So that, is it steak for breakfast,
Steak for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Well, that makes it very easy for the cook.
Yes, it does.
Just start the freezer full of steak. Anything with that, vegetables?
Oh, yes, vegetables and everything, but none of the sweets or the pastries or anything like that.
And for variety, occasionally you have raw chop steak.
Raw, yes.
Tartar steak.
Uh-huh.
Now, there's something I'm very interested in. One of your finer films was Double Indemnity with Billy Wilder. And I understand he had to use a little bit of psychology to get you to play a murderess.
Well, when Billy Wilder sent me the script of Double Indemnity and I read it, it was from a James Cain novel. It was a very fine novel, and Billy had owned it for so many years. I had never played an out-and-out killer. I had played medium heavy, but not an out-and-out killer.
This was a really unsympathetic character.
Oh, yes, very much so. And as such, I was a little frightened of it. And when I went back to his office, I said, I love the script and I love you. But I'm a little afraid after all these years of playing heroines to go into an out-and-out cold-blooded killer. And Mr. Wilder, and rightly so, looked at me and he said, well, are you a mouse or an actress? And I said, well, I hope I'm an actress. He said, then do the part. And I did, and I'm very grateful to him.
Well, it led to an Academy Award nomination.
Yes, yeah.
How about Fred McMurray, who played opposite you in that film?
He had a lot of fears also, but Fred should have had an Academy Award nomination.
He was superb in the film.
Fred has never been better. And the Academy sort of pushed him to one side, and that's unfair.
Not only Fred, but Edward G. Robinson as well in the film.
Oh, everybody in the cast.
The whole film is superb. Well, I hear the horn again, so I guess you're back to on the set.
Yes, yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Bye.
While most of her contemporaries are considering Medicare and retirement homes, Barbara Stanwyck goes right on doing her own stunts, being dragged by horses, buried in collapsing buildings. She goes on doing her job. Of all the awards that she has won, the highest accolade comes from those who have worked with her. They all consider Missy, Barbara Stanwyck, a pro. And that's our portrait of this unique personality. The portrait you're about to see is truly unique. A star in motion pictures for almost 40 years. Born in Brooklyn as Ruby Stevens, she started as a chorus girl at the age of 16. She starred in her first Broadway play before she was 20, a play called Burlesque, which brought her to the attention of Hollywood. Since then, she has starred in more than 80 motion pictures. 4 times she was nominated for the Hollywood Oscar. Twice she won the coveted Emmy as television's Best Dramatic Actress. Her co-workers, cast and crew, refer to Missy, their name for Barbara Stanwyck, as the Great Lady. But in her own salty language, she considers herself just a working dame. We'll find out more about her as we paint this portrait. For Ruby Stevens of Brooklyn is known all over the world as Barbara Stanwyck.
There I am driving in early in the morning on my way to work. And now I'm on my way. I've been made up, my hair is done, I'm dressed ready to go to work. I'm on my way to the set. And in place of a horse in front of the dressing room, I usually ride my bicycle around the lot. So here I go. Now here's one of our outdoor locations. It's on the back lot of the studio. This is where a great deal of Big Valley shoots every week, although we do go on much more extended locations, but it just so happens that in the story this is the proper and right location for this particular story we're doing. On the set. This is Lou, our coffee man, and he starts making coffee at 7 o'clock in the morning, and he doesn't stop until we stop, which is 7 or 8 o'clock at night. He makes very good coffee, too. Here's Mr. James Gregory, and I'm sure everybody knows. He's our guest star this month. And this lady is Sylvia. This is the lady who's in charge of all wardrobe for all the women who work on the Big Valley. And believe me, she has a real tough job. Now here, you see, this gentleman who is greeting me so affectionately, that is Mr. Virgil Vogel. He is our top director on Big Valley. What is next, Virgil?
Well, then you bring the horse up here, and you leap from the saddle.
Yeah.
You don't step on it. You leap.
Leap. And I get extra money for that.
No. and then when you hit the ground, you come off a run.
With both legs.
Both legs.
Yeah,
With the rifle in your left hand.
Yeah.
And with the barrel in your right.
Okay. Well, you sure can think them up. I guess Mr. Vogel knows as much about making westerns as the old master John Ford.
Miss Stanwyck.
Yeah.
The public associates the life of a movie actress with all glamour and opening nights and Oscars and so forth. But I'd like to hear from you the hard work that a leading lady has to put in on a weekly schedule. Now, you're just finishing up 26 episodes of Big Valley over some 7 months. What is your schedule during the average working week?
Well, it's, if we're shooting inside the studio, I get up at 4:30 in the morning, and we start shooting at 8 in the studio, and I get home maybe 7:30, 8 o'clock at night. If we're on location, which we are 2 days a week, that's 3:30 in the morning, and maybe I get home around 8:30.
And then do you have to